Wow, there's so many of you. So I saw the numbers creeping up during the week and I was like, what are they all doing? Why are they coming? I don't understand. It's such an honour to be here. I've been part of the Creative Mornings team for almost 2 years now, and I usually make the coffee. So you might usually see me serving coffee to you, and I'm usually standing at the back of the room. So I'm just so humbled to be up the front, to be honest. I know I've seen a lot of talks and I know I'm in very good company. So thank you so much to you guys for inviting me. I hope I can live up to everyone's expectation. You will. I think colour is a really cool topic. But when I started thinking about the idea of colour, I was like, it's quite intangible colour, you know? Like we see it everywhere, but what is it? Is it a thing? And then I kind of remembered my 7th form physics papers and I was like, actually, I think it's just a visual perception colour. It's just the way that the light refracts and enters the back of our retina. So colour is all about perception, and colour is also all about the behaviour of the objects around us and how they emit and refract light. So I know this is a bit of a weird place to start, a bit sciencey, and not very well backed up. I did check Wikipedia, but but I just wanted, for the purposes of today, for us to think about colour as two things, behaviour and perception. And in terms of living a colourful life, which is what I'm particularly interested in, think about it as our behaviour and our perception of the world. I know perceptions are subjective also, so what I think is a colourful life might not be what you think is a colourful life, but I'm here to tell you my journey, and hopefully it resonates. So I am lucky these days to live quite a colourful life, and it hasn't always been that way. I guess I started Gather and Hunt 4 years ago, and I made a conscious decision to change my behaviour and my perceptions of the world, and that's when the colour started flowing in earnest. The other thing about colour is because it's quite intangible, it's quite hard to hold on to. So this is an ongoing journey for me. It's not colourful every day. I have not clocked colour in my life at all, but I'm doing my best, and that's the best that we can all do. The importance of colour in my life I kind of discovered over the last 10 years, because I'm actually a really shy person, which you might not realise right now, but I'm actually shaking like you wouldn't believe. And I know that after today I'm going to have to go and spend like three hours in a quiet room just huddling to myself just to recover. Not only did I have this shyness in my personality, but my family has a history of anxiety and depression, and that manifests sometimes as well. So the easiest thing for me to do in my life would be to basically go and live in the mountains, hide myself away, never talk to anybody. But I've done that, actually, and it didn't bring out the best in me. It brings out my anxious personality even more when I'm hidden away from everyone. And I think that having lots of people in my life and lots of colour actually makes me more of a generous person, more of an empathetic person. And that's why I decided it was a good thing for me to do. So that's why I started Gather and Hunt. And you might think for a shy, anxious person, it's a really silly idea to start a media company and have to meet people every day and talk to people. And it has been quite hard at times and very stressful, but it's also been super rewarding. And I think if you saw the difference in me from 4 years ago to now, you would see why all those sleepless nights are totally worth it. Sorry, did you hear that? My phone's on up here, and I'm getting all the Creative Mornings tweets. Thanks, G. I know what's going on. But anyway, let's start at the start. Let's start at the beginning of me. So here is me. This is another fact about me, is that I'm actually a twin. I was born first. I have a younger sister. She's 9 minutes younger than me, and her name's Stacey. She lives in Melbourne, and I really hate being apart from her. I also have an older brother. That's little Kyle there. He's a fair bit older now. I remember the thing I most remember my brother saying to me when we were teenagers was he was like, "Court, you should never ever do drugs. You're already weird enough." And I really took that to heart. I think it was good advice. The other interesting fact about me, which you might have read in the bio, is that I'm a pilot. I actually got my pilot's license before my driver's license, and my mum used to have to drive me out to the airport to go flying. This is really embarrassing. But being a shy person as I was when I was a teenager, I did shut myself off from the world quite a lot, and it wasn't until I started flying that I really kind of came out of my shell. And the reason I got into flying was just pure luck, really. My family moved to Melbourne when I was 15 for my dad's work, and the school that we happened to choose had a teacher who was a pilot. She was really passionate about women in aviation, and so she, off her own back, started this course, and I was lucky enough to do it. So there were 10 of us that did the course, and I got my license at 16. And it was awesome. This was like the first time I remember being part of something bigger than myself. Being a twin, I spent a lot of my life in my twin's shadow, my teenage life. She is an overachiever like you wouldn't believe. She was head girl. She got top of the state of Victoria in 7th form. She actually travelled to Belarus and represented Australia in the biology Olympics when we were 17. She'll hate me for saying that. But I didn't really have anything of my own. I was pretty mediocre until aviation came along, and then it kind of set me apart, and I loved that. So it's no surprise, really, that I decided I'm going to do aviation ongoing, and I went and did a degree after school. But after 3 years of studying aviation, I kind of started thinking about the life of that. A pilot spends a lot of time away from home, has a really crazy schedule, a lot of time alone in hotels and airports, and I thought, actually, I don't think this is for me. So I freaked out a bit, and I moved home back to New Zealand, and my dad was here at this point. And I enrolled in another degree. I did psychology and English literature at Auckland Uni, and I told everyone I was going to be an aviation psychologist because it sounded great. Really, I just wanted to be a writer. But this is when things got a bit grey for me. I was loving uni, but I didn't make many friends. I was very shy, as you all know, and I became pretty much a complete recluse. Like, I would come home from uni and realise I'd spent the whole day and I hadn't opened my mouth at all, hadn't spoken to anyone. And I actually see people these days who I work with regularly who were in classes with me. They don't recognise me from then to now. That's how different I was. So the thing that got me out of this was that I went travelling. And as you all will know, there's nothing that makes you feel more colourful than when you're travelling and you're surrounded by travellers and the community of travellers, and you're seeing new things and experiencing new things every day. And so I got back from travel and I was determined I'm not going to fall back into that trap that I had before. So I started thinking about what I could do. And I could leave New Zealand, I could go travelling indefinitely. But I have a strong feeling about a sense of place and a sense of heritage, and I sometimes worry that our generation is so bad at settling that we're forgetting about that altogether. So I decided to stay in New Zealand, and then I decided I was going to find out what it was about flying and travelling that made me so happy. And I was going to try and make that happen in my daily life. So these are the things I figured out. Experience. I had new experiences, varied experiences, and challenging experiences every day. I was positive, not in the sense that I had a positive outlook, but that I kind of approached and reacted to my life positively. There was a sense of community in both of those situations, and that is really important. I was kind of open to the experiences that were happening, and I was also grateful for everything. You know that feeling when you're walking down the street and, I don't know, the Champs-Élysées or something, and you're like, am I really here? Is this really happening? That's what it feels like when it's travelling, and I thought, why can't we have that in our own life, day to day? And so I woke up at 2 a.m. one morning and I was like, I'm going to start a website that does all of these things. And that was pretty much all, that's where I started from. That's what I thought I would do. And then 2 nights later, I was actually at a BYO on Victoria Street with this guy, Alan Walker, who's a designer and developer. And we'd had quite a few drinks. I think we were drinking something called National Drink of Turkey, whatever that is. And I turned to him and I was like, I've had this idea for this hub for Auckland, this idea for this website. Do you want to build it with me? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I can still remember the way he said yeah. He said it so emphatically and quite drunkenly, and I don't think he meant it the way that I took it. But 3 days later, I turned up at his office and I had a business plan. And I was like, here we go, we're going to do this. I'd read a couple of entrepreneurial books. I was like, how hard can this be? I have since made every single mistake in those books, over and over again. So we started on Gather and Hunt, and it had a few different names to begin with, which I probably won't go into. I don't want to go into it. But he started designing and developing the website, and I started building the content. So it took us a year to get it together. These are some early logos, which Ellen would be horrified that I'm showing you as well. But I like some of them. I quite like that top one. It's quite cool. The website's changed a lot, obviously, from what we did there. And in building the content, what I did was emailed every person I knew who was a writer or could be a writer, or was just a friend who I could convince to do things. I found photographers, and I asked them all to be part of it. I called them the collective. Here are some of the collective. It's just a few of them. We were about 15 to begin with. We had meetings once a month at my auntie's studio, and I'd provide chips and dips, and these people would provide me with colour and content. Emma Smales, for example, is the girl on the second right, and she is a photographer, an amazing photographer, and she pretty much gave the style of photography for the website that we still use today. So this was the first community that Gather and Hunt gave me. What's next? Oh, my mum. This is Linda. So I was talking non-stop about Gather and Hunt for a year, and I had a job by this point, and I kind of was like, this is getting bigger than I thought, and I think we can make something of it, but I don't know how. And Mum turned to me one day, and she was like, I can give you some startup money if you like. And I was like, sweet, okay, sounds great. I was really lucky she was in a position at that point to do that for me, and I was also really lucky that she's a bit crazy, because it was a stupid, terrible risk, and if I was her, I would not have done it, but I'm so glad that she did. So she's amazing. She's still a shareholder today, and she's been a great mentor, and a patient mentor as well with me. She told me things years ago that I've only just learnt now, and I've been like, this is so amazing. She's like, I told you already. So I quit my job, and I bought a camera, and I remember my first day full-time at G&H, I decided I needed to take some photos on Jervois Road of some cafes. So I didn't know how to use the camera, and I was shy. I'm scared of ordering pizza over the phone, but I went into these cafes, and I tried to tell them what I was doing, and I asked permission to take photos, and this is a photo that I took that day of La Boulange. So you've got to start somewhere. We launched the website on the 2nd of September in 2011, and we had a little party. I remember at 2 p.m. that day we put the site live, and we kind of sat back, Ellen and I, and were like waiting for the traffic. I think we had 60 visitors that day, something, which was quite good. It was an interesting experience. So my mum had given us enough money to last for 8 months, and then we had to make it work. So the first thing I did was I hired this girl, Dom. She's actually here today. I was like, hey, you need to sell advertising. We get on average like 150 users a day, and you need to make enough money to pay for 3 salaries and an office. No worries. It was quite a hard ask. But what Dom did in our first year and what we did together was started to build some really awesome relationships and build a really awesome community. And she is so good at that. And the first really important relationship that we made was with this guy, Mike Murphy from Kokako Coffee. He's the nicest man in the world, and he was so supportive to us from the very beginning. And the other relationship that we made was with this bottle of water, Antipodes, and Mauve particularly. Where is she? She's hiding over there. She's the greatest. So we had this idea of doing events. We thought this could maybe be a revenue stream, or at least a way to meet people from the website. So we went to Mike and we said, we want to do a tasting club. We want to invite people and get them to pay for tickets, and then they can come along and we can do this special breakfast. So he was like, yeah. The first thing he said actually was, yeah, can we put autumn leaves all over the floor? Because I've always wanted to do that in my cafe. Okay, so we did that. We had our first tasting club. It was a 3-course breakfast on a Tuesday morning. And we got my beautiful friend Caroline to style it. I think she wrote this menu about 5 times, at least, handwritten menu. So that was awesome. And it was around this time that we met this guy as well, Benj. He's a videographer. He's awesome. He's actually at the back of the room videoing me today. Hi, Benj. So Benj was actually an early member of the collective, and I remember he came to one meeting and he listened to me very seriously, and at the end of the meeting he came up to me and said, "You should do online video." And I was like, "What is that? You're crazy." And I didn't see him again for about a year. And then when we were kind of figuring out how we were going to make money and make this work, I called him up again and was like, "Maybe you're right, maybe we should make some videos." So we made a video of Depot Restaurant, which was quite cool. I look back on it now, and I think Benj does as well, and we're like, but, it was quite cool. And interestingly, online videos ended up being something that we do quite well as a team, and it's probably one of our biggest revenue streams now, which is cool. We also, in the first year, started Stomping Grounds, which was a result of a beautiful think tank with our friends at Creative, and we came up with an idea of piling all our content together in one neighbourhood and making little maps and making videos about the neighbourhood and doing a whole month of content. So that was really fun. At the end of 2012, Dom decided to leave to follow her dreams in hospitality, and it was really sad for us. But we also had a new friend who had come along, a crazy friend of mine from Edinburgh, who she'd posted on her Facebook page, "Who's going to give me a job?" She'd just finished, and I said, "I can give you one, but I won't pay you." And she got on a plane and came over here and worked for free for 3 months. And then when Dom left, I gave her that job. I forgot to mention this, actually. It's quite important. This is our purpose statement, which we developed in our first year, to be a map to the magic that's right here. We don't want to just be a media company. We don't want to be a passive thing that you read. We want you to engage, and we want to show you what's all around you. So this is Alice, a big photo of Alice, and she brought something completely different to the table. She is cooler than me, and she did a lot of cool stuff for us. The first cool thing that we did was we covered a tabletop in real grass and had an indoor picnic at Mojo, and it was the coolest thing, I think, that we did. This was about the time that we moved into our new office, Dream Studios on K Road, and it's these girls here. We look like a girl band, I think. So the girls from the Bread and Butter Letter and the girls from Celery Productions, and it's been such an awesome support network for us to have these guys. And also the rest of my support network, the guys from Creative, it's Jade, Khan, and Eddie, who you already know quite well. This is Bob's, my mum, and this is India, our beautiful intern, who is also here today, probably hiding. She is hiding. Yeah. In 2012, we did Urbis Design Day with Backhouse Interiors, and that was quite colourful. We hand-painted stones different colours, and we made people walk around and swap furniture for food, which was quite fun. And then we met these guys, Bex and Darius from Cazador Restaurant, and we loved them. I mean, we had like a crush on these people, and we wanted to be friends with them more. Sorry, that's my phone going again. Thank you, Design Assembly. So we did a tasting club at Cazador, and then Bex ended up being great at production, and with Dom leaving, we asked her to help us and get involved with some events. So Bex helped us with one called the Ballet Banquet, which we did with Antipodes, and then also, I forgot to mention Alice. This is maybe out of order, but Alice, maybe the coolest thing that she did was she sent people on dates. She sent random Aucklanders on dates. She'd organise dates for them and then make them blind dates and then send them on it, and they'd have to write about it and rate the date. So these are just a couple of examples. She sent me on one, actually. I had a picnic and went to the Star Dome. It was great. But with Bex, and actually with Dom and with Alice and everyone who's been involved with Gather and Hunt, Art Deco has always been my favourite thing and probably the best manifestation of the way we bring colour into the world. So Dom and a lovely other lady who's also here called Kate Simmons and Mink, we came up with the idea for Art Deco one day at Alleluia, and it was in the lead up to Art Week, and we thought, what if we got 5 chefs and 5 artists and smashed them together and made them do a dinner and an exhibition for one night only. So we found some chefs who were keen, and we found some artists who were keen, and we did our first Art Deco in 2012. And these are some of the photos from it. Tiffany Singh was one of our artists, and she did a rainbow installation. We had people eating off like plates that were made out of leaves dipped in beeswax, and it's all very crazy and fun. In 2012, we went next level on it, and we had the same different 5 chefs, different 5 artists, and it's kind of become this graduation thing where we have different people each year. And it is still my favourite thing that we do. And the reason for that is because of the community it creates. You should see this team. There's 40 of them usually. Artists, chefs, tech people, videographers, stylists. And they all come together to create. They've never worked together before. They come together and create this amazing thing. And the vibe in the room is so electric. And everyone who comes to the events loves them as well. And that's why they're my favourite thing that we do. So I'm really excited about this year's Art Deco, which is not there. There was meant to be a picture there. Anyway, there's a picture, and it said November 9th, and it was a picture of the art gallery because we're moving to the art gallery atrium for our next Art Deco, which is super exciting. So you should keep an eye out for that because it's going to be great. So I feel like have I rushed through this? I'm nearly done. I just wanted to, thank you. I just wanted to say that I really feel that with the Gather and Hunt, this is just the beginning of my journey. And I know it looks like a simple media organisation now, but I've always envisioned it as more of a tool for facilitating a colourful life. And I have really big plans for the next 8 months, of which Bob's, who's here, is a web developer, and he's going to be helping me with that. He's many things, but he's also a web developer. I think digital media is a really great connector and a great leveller. But I do sometimes worry with technologies that humans create that we develop these things to make our lives easier and then we become slaves to them, like money, for example, and potentially social media and these guys. So I'm really conscious of the fact that Gather and Hunt is a tool. It's something that we use to make these things happen. And when you think about social media and the way that you interact with it, how often is it for the opposite of these things? How often do you passively look at things, feel envy, feel isolated because you're jealous of other people's lives? We shouldn't be using technology for those reasons. We should, I think, find ways to make our lives more colourful with it. So this is what I think of for G&H. Use it as a tool to colour your life, but remember that if you want a colourful life, it's totally up to you, and that's the way it should be.